safety goggles. Yeah, and a hat, and I went, it was fine. I got a COVID test afterwards, and
It is 7 o'clock and we do have a quorum of commissioners. So I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners. Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. Time is 7 o'clock. All please rise, and Marie Todd will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, Marie. Bridget, would you call the roll, please?
President Riley,
Here.
Vice President King,
Here.
Commissioner Carlson, Commissioner Egan,
I can barely hear you, Bridget. Did you call my name?
I did.
I'm present.
Commissioner Janner,
Here.
Commissioner McBroom,
Here.
Commissioner Todd. Here. And back to Commissioner Carlson.
Yes, here.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the 2021 budget and appropriation public hearing. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing on the 2021 budget and appropriation ordinance 988.
Move to recess to public hearing for discussion of the 2021 budget and appropriation ordinance 988.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Bridget, or any discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Bobby, I think you're muted. No, you're unmuted.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
President Riley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Todd. Yes.
A quorum being present, I will now call to order the public hearing on the
It
2021.
doesn't show me muted.
Sorry,
Okay, yes,
the quorum being present, I will now call to order the public hearing on the 2021 combined annual budget and appropriation ordinance. The budget was prepared in tentative form and made available for the public for inspection for at least 30 days at the Fort Hill Activity Center and on the district's website. A notice of this budget hearing was published in the Daily Herald on November 30th, 2020, in accordance with the requirements of the Park District Code. and a notice in compliance with the Open Meetings Act was also prepared and distributed in accordance with all legal requirements. The purpose of the hearing is to give the public an opportunity to be heard with regard to the planned budget and appropriations for the coming fiscal year. Once public comments have been received, the board may immediately comment or reserve its comments to when the ordinance is formally presented for board consideration. The hearing is now open to questions from the audience. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the 2021 budget and return to the regular business of the meeting.
Move to adjourn to a public hearing and return to open meetings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yeah.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ganner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is matters from the public. Bridget, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Just check, see no one's raised their hand. We do not.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to updates and reports. First is the Riverwalk Commission, Commissioner McBroom.
Yes, Riverwalk Planning Commission met on yesterday, December 9th, and via Zoom. Two updates: Moser Tower rehabilitation bids are going to go out early next year, February, March. Intention is to start the construction, which is anticipated to take the whole season into the fall. And as far as the Riverwalk master plan goes, the next step is fundraising, and the commission is putting together committees to develop a fundraising plan. Next meeting is January 5th, 2021, 7:30 a.m. via Zoom. That's it.
Thank you. Next, Parks Foundation, Commissioner Janner.
Thank you, President Riley. The Parks Foundation Board met on November 17th, 2020. During that meeting, the Foundation Board voted to change its name to the Naperville Outdoor Alliance. One of the purposes of the name change was to minimize confusion in the community, as some Naperville Park District residents mistakenly believed that the Naperville Parks Foundation was an arm or division of the Naperville Park District, which was not accurate. The Naperville Outdoor Alliance will continue to support the Naperville Park District in various ways. For example, the Alliance will create an online interface for residents to make donations toward the Naperville Park District's Fee Assistance Program, which is a program intended to offset the cost of Park District program participation for individuals and families in need. The Naperville Outdoor Alliance further agreed that any checks received with Park District or Fee Assistance Program in the memo of the check would be passed through directly to the Park District. Payouts will be made biannually. The Alliance Board is in the process of updating its website and social media platforms to reflect the name change. On behalf of all of us at the Park District and the Board of Commissioners, I would like to thank the Alliance President Troy Cooper and the entire Alliance Board for their volunteerism in our community and their continued support of the Naperville Park District. Thank you. Back to you, President Riley.
Thank you. Next, Finance Committee, Vice President King.
Yes, President Riley, there's nothing to report except for the next meeting will be held tomorrow, December 11th at 11 o'clock at 320 West Jackson.
Thank you. Next, Legislative Committee, Commissioner Carlson.
No report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Parks and Recreation Committee, Commissioner Janner.
Thank you, President Riley. The Parks and Rec Committee met on Friday, November 20th. Director Schutz discussed the North Maintenance Facility feasibility study presented to the committee last year and next steps. It was determined that the location of the facility is ideal and that renovation would be more cost effective than demolition and rebuilding, which was estimated to cost about $2.4 million. Upon further evaluation and discussion, it was decided that to better manage cash flow, portions of the renovation could be done with in-house staff resources spread over a longer period of time, for example, electrical improvements, reducing the total cost to about $1.7 million over the 3-year period. Director Wilson provided numerous updates regarding programming following Tier 3 restrictions imposed by the state of Illinois. Staff continues to react to these restrictions, communicate with our program participants, process refunds as needed, update the website with pertinent information, and proactively look to resume certain programs when mitigations are lifted. Sportsman's trap shooting remains open, utilizing a reservation process, and Santa's Workshop at the Riverwalk Cafe is proceeding as scheduled with modifications and falls within the Tier 3 requirements. The Park District is once again partnering with the YMCA to provide Naperville seniors and families in need with a Christmas meal. Since the typical Christmas Day luncheon cannot occur, the event has been modified to include meal delivery to households by volunteers during the morning of Christmas Eve. The winter program guide production and program registration is proceeding as scheduled. Youth sports leagues included within the guide will be structured under the academy format, but will transition to league play if and when state restrictions allow during the winter and spring months. And finally, recruitment for the Centennial Beach staff has begun, and we're optimistic about opening Centennial Beach for next summer. So there's some good news there that we can look forward to. Thank you, President Riley.
Thank you. Next is the President's report. This is on the budget statement. At the time they are created, budgets are based on established plans and goals combined with the best data available. However, in 2020, the restrictions of COVID-19 changed these assumptions and drastically impacted the district's budget and overall operations. And it seems that uncertainty will continue to be a given as we enter 2021. Fortunately, the Park District has managed its operation and finances from a position of strength with reference to long-term plans that direct its future. It is this stewardship of resources that allows the district to weather pandemic impacts and leverage flexibility to fulfill its mission and deliver services in a frequently changing environment. As importantly, we recognize that many of our residents have been impacted by COVID-19. As a result, the Park District will hold property taxes flat for the 2021 budget. We hope this action provides some relief to our community. Doing so should result in no increase in Naperville Park District taxes for most residents, assuming that the residents' assessed valuation likewise remains flat. However, to accomplish this outcome requires a two-step process for this year's property tax levy. First, the district will levy for consumer price index and new growth in December. That first step is based on estimates that are intended to equitably apportion taxes over the new construction in the district. Then in February, when we have more detailed information, the district will abate debt service taxes, and this will result in a flat levy, the same as last year's levy, that is equitable to all taxpayers, both existing and new construction. Despite the challenges of this year and the ones anticipated in 2021, we remain committed, more so than ever, to provide a wide spectrum of recreational opportunities for our residents. We look forward to the future when things look and feel more normal, and that will be a time for all of us to celebrate as a community. Next, we have our Executive Director's Report. Director McGurry.
Yes, thank you, President Riley. For 2020, Santa has made special arrangements to visit with children and their families at Santa's Naperville Workshop, located at the Riverwalk Cafe. Santa's Workshop is an outdoor event where visiting families will remain outdoors and peer through the windows of Santa's Workshop. Santa will greet each family through the window and have a short conversation with them using special North Pole technology. Reservations are required and can be made at the napervilleparks.org/Santa's Workshop website. Check the webpage for the remaining spots that are available. The cost per family is $10 for residents and $15 for non-residents. The event runs each evening through Wednesday, December 23rd. A special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Woody Buick, GMC, and several other sponsors for their support of this event. The Naperville Park District's 2021 Winter Program Guide is now available in digital format only at napervilleparks.org/program guides. Winter program registration is now underway, including registration for the Winter Indoor Soccer Academy, which begins in mid-January. Registration for the Winter Indoor Basketball Academy begins Thursday, December 17th. The season is scheduled to start in late January. Park District continues to follow the guidelines established through the Restore Illinois Plan and the operation of its programs, events, and facilities. However, we look forward to resuming indoor programming as soon as the state restrictions allow us to. Winter program registration is underway in anticipation of programs being able to meet beginning early 2021. The YMCA and Naperville Park District, through the generous support of community donations, will continue the annual tradition of providing up to 200 Naperville seniors and their families in need with a meal on Christmas. This year, however, due to COVID-19 restrictions, it's not possible to host the annual Christmas luncheon on Christmas Day. Instead, volunteers will deliver the meals to the homes of the Naperville seniors and families in need on the morning of Christmas Eve. Reheating instructions for the meals will be provided. Please visit napervilleparks.org for information on how to reserve your meal. And finally, as cold and snowy weather approaches, it's nearly time to dust off the sleds and skates and plan some fun outings at the Park District sled hills and ice skating areas. Please keep in mind that skate rinks will not open until we have several days of very cold temperatures, and sled hills require at least 2 inches of snow with no visible grass. Check out the new infographic published on page 5 of the winter guide that lists other ideas for winter outdoor fun in all kinds of weather. Additionally, for information on the Park District skating and sledding locations, visit napervilleparks.org/winter sports facilities. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a lot. Thank you, Ray. Next item on our agenda is the monthly treasurer's report.
Sorry, I was on mute. Move to approve the October 2020 Treasurer's Report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Bridget, take the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Say again, Bridget.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBrome,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Bridget, would you read the items under the consent agenda?
Item 6.1, approve November 2020 disbursements in the amount of $2,148,337.78. 6.2, approve November 2020 disbursements made to the Bank of America Purchasing Card Program in the amount of $205,687.82. 6.3, approve November 2020 FinTech disbursements in the amount of $785.75. 6.4, approve November 2020 customer refunds in the amount of $1,984.25. 6.5, approve November 12, 2020 regular meeting minutes. 6.6, approve November 12, 2020 executive session closed meeting minutes. 6.7, approve November 17, 2020 special meeting minutes. 6.8, approve November 17, 2020 executive session closed meeting minutes. 6.9, approve ordinance 986, authorizing addendum number 3 to that commercial lease for 2244 West 95th Street, Naperville, Illinois, approved by ordinance 789. 6.10, approve the 2021 independent contractor agreement for karate instruction with Illinois Shotokan Karate Clubs. 6.11, approve the 2021 independent contractor agreement for youth sports instruction with All Star Sports Instruction, Inc. And 6.12, approve resolution 20-09, approving a grant of license between the County of DePage and the Naperville Park District for installation of certain improvements in West Branch Parkway.
Thank you, Bridget. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda to be considered separately? Commissioner Egan.
Can we pull 6.1 and 6.3, please?
Okay, any other items to be pulled for individual consideration? Vice President King?
Move to accept consent agenda items 6.2, 6.4 through 6.12.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Bridget, take the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
All right. Move to approve item 6.1.
No.
Or-
We have to, fix it. Second. Move to approve 6.2 and 6.4 through 6.12.
Yes, I'm sorry. Move to approve consent agenda items 6.2 and 6.4 through 6.12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, would you call the roll, please?
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
Now move to approve items 6.1.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion, Commissioner Egan.
My ceremoniously lone no vote against the 4% raises. Gratefully, we'll be changing that percentage, I would assume, later this evening. But again, this year's budget's 4%. No companies are handing that out, so I'll be voting no.
Any further discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Nay.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
Move to approve consent agenda item 6.3.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion, Commissioner Egan.
I'll be voting no to this as I usually do. This is a requirement by Illinois state law that we have to pay for booze ahead of time. As noted in the budget presentations and the fitness areas that even the executive director presented, nowhere did he present that booze drinking was part of our mission. I say return the alcohol, get our money back, and stick with our health and welfare, which is our mission. I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Any further commentary? Bridget, take the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson, Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
No.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
Yes. Next, under unfinished business, we have item 7.2.
Move to approve the 2020 tax levy ordinance 987.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Egan?
Before us this evening is another tax levy that includes ballooning the levy. While we are abating a small portion of it, it can be reclaimed at any time. As I noted last year, the ballooning effect was just $200,000 in compounding year over year. What do our residents receive for overtaxation? Committee meetings that are not recorded. I believe a little sunshine is the best antiseptic. It should be noted that we decided to leave City Hall with better recording equipment for our monthly meetings, if we can ever get back to those, thanks COVID. As we will discuss with the budget, unfunded pensions, low-cost health benefits, the pool the community has demanded through our costly surveys has not even been attempted yet. Let's not forget the excess reserves held by the Park District. It is time that we realize that the best place for a dollar is the taxpayer's pocket and not the government's. I invite my fellow commissioners to join me and reject overtaxation and compounding that further harm our residents. Allow new construction to lower the tide for all boats and say to our residents, your property right is not our property right by voting no to this levy. Thank you.
Commissioner McBroom. You're on mute. Oh, there you go.
So I sympathize with Commissioner Egan's comments about the new growth levy, at least. I understand the ripple effect there. I understand that argument. And my position is and will always be, I think the message to the taxpayers is we should be looking to take the least amount we possibly can while maintaining the high level of service that they demand. And one way to do that is to reject new growth on the capturing that new growth on the levy. I think the staff has made a good compromise this year with the abatement. I mean, I think it's a year that we should be keeping things flat. I mean, people are suffering. So I will be supporting the levy in light of the fact that we are offering the abatement early next year. And so I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other commissioner have any comments? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
No.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next, we have ordinance 988.
Move to approve the 2021 budget and appropriation ordinance 988.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Egan.
Thank you. I always love going first. Before us is one of the better budgets that I've seen in my tenure as a commissioner. It includes an almost reasonable raise pool and a significant abatement. On the surface, the casual observer would believe this to be a step forward. As with so many things in Illinois politics, you have to watch the sleight of hand. And the approach to the abatement is not much more than a PR stunt, in my opinion. The abatement allows future boards to grab the $500K in the future, inclusive of compounding. Instead of holding the line, we have given the opportunity for more projects. Unrelated, I drove by the 95th Street project and no one was out there yesterday. Further proof of the sleight of hand was the presentation on our recent refunding. The presentation was simple and straightforward. We saved money. Staff and their vendors chose their words carefully. Upon my questioning and much consternation on the part of staff and vendor, they admitted that the refunding would move debt from the operational budget to the debt budget, whereby driving up the amount that we can tax in the separate levy and allowing more room in the operational budget. What would the taxpayer get out of this? A larger tax bill and no additional services, and certainly not the pool they have demanded. We canceled our survey, which would have almost certainly demanded more indoor space, namely a pool. The previous survey was not able to get enough response, so the statisticians filled the holes to come up with a reasonable product. We were all trapped at home. Carpe diem would have provided there was no better time to send mail to a captive audience. Interestingly enough, the budget once again retains our membership in IAPD. We dropped the membership when the news picked up the executive director's salary of over $400,000 that is pensionable. Keep in mind that this is an association, but because they receive government dollars, the executive director gets a seat on the pension train that runs through Illinois. Now, that isn't front page news. We are back as members of and contributing to the pension problem in Illinois without direct benefit. IAPD is supposedly our advocate in Springfield. To my knowledge, they have not led the charge to increase the employee contribution rate to IMRF when the rate was dropped, sending 100% of the increase to the taxpayer. The raise pool is certainly reasonable compared to the usual 4% raises handed out. I know the last comment, some of my fellow commissioners are jumping at the bit to point out that it wasn't all used. I realize that, and yet no one else recognizes that not using it deprived the taxpayer of resources or took dollars unnecessarily from the taxpayer's pocket. We need to fix the raise pool to what Social Security hands out to our senior citizens. They received a whopping 1% this year and are being taxed out of their homes. people that may not be able to leave their homes because loved ones are suffering from things like Alzheimer's and they need familiar surroundings. I understand that staff and my fellow commissioners will object to my comment. Hey, I want the biggest raise I can get too. In my business, dare I say all businesses, I have to justify my fees to my clients who have lots of options. Government takes what they want by law, which means taxation is legalized theft. The customer demands indoor pool and we give them outdoor water that they may be able to use a third of the year. $2 million on a splash pad that could have been put towards delivering what we have been told they want delivered. The answer is simple. Stop ballooning the levy and overtaxing everyone to get at the new folks. I know those here in the virtual dais will argue you need to tax those new folks to make it fair. The fair tax was rejected last month. You cannot prove mathematically that those of us already here are not taxed at a higher rate because you have to overtax us to get to the new folks. The fact remains, if you did not overtax, our bills would be lowered. The legislative committee should be pounding the street in Springfield for a better system. And while you're down there, you should ask for the employee portion of IMRF contributions to be increased. Again, our cost is up because the funding rate was lowered. We need to stop overtaxation and finding ways to spend the money to justify the tax. Put the taxpayers first for once and join me in voting no. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, President Riley, Commissioner Egan obviously covered a lot of ground there, but I would be remiss not to object to at least two parts of that statement. And the first is quote unquote sleight of hand. I just think that's completely off base. I think it's unfair. I think it's inaccurate. Commissioner Egan himself said that Naperville has an informed citizenry, and we've been more than transparent as far as the process goes. The documents are available for the public, as was reported earlier. So to suggest that the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners is somehow seeking to trick the citizens, it doesn't sit well with me, and I think it's completely inaccurate. Likewise, the statement that the abatement is a publicity stunt, also I think that's a bit offensive and also completely inaccurate. As long as the dollars actually move, presumably the dollars will actually move, then the abatement will be executed. And so it's not a stunt. It actually, the dollars are actually moving. And so, while I am a smaller government kind of a guy, I have to object to these types of characterizations because they're just not accurate.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
No.
Was that Commissioner Egan that just voted?
Yes, I just voted no.
Okay. Do we hear Commissioner Carlson?
He's fallen off, not yet. There he is.
I'm sure he agrees with me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Egan? Commissioner
No.
Tanner?
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom?
Yes.
President Riley?
Yes. Next, we have discussion items. First is quarterly strategic plan goals update.
Yes, included within the meeting materials this evening was a strategic plan quarterly update that we provide to the board in a table format with the strategic plan initiatives as well as updates to the completion of those. Wanted to open it up to the board to see if there were any questions in regards to that update. Included with the update was also an extensive list that we are working to put together, a list of community problems that Naperville Park District is working to alleviate or address. That is in regards to one of the strategic plan goals. So that supporting material was also included with the update. So we wanted to open it up to see if there were any questions from the commissioners this evening.
Any questions from any of the commissioners?
Thank you.
If not, then we'll move on. Next is the North Maintenance Facility.
Yes, as presented earlier this evening by Commissioner Janner, the Parks and Rec Committee on November 20th discussed the North Maintenance Facility. Staff presented the options that were reviewed with the staff and the Park Board in 2019 as part of the feasibility study for the North Maintenance Facility. And then that led to this summer, we actually had more of a cash flow discussion between planning, finance, parks, recreation staff to identify what's the best flow of expenditures for this improvement and then phasing it out. So initially we were thinking phasing the renovation out last year in 2019 between the budget years of 2021 and 2022. And this summer we identified we can even spread it out further from 2021 through 2023. That would assist us with cash flow. But also, as Commissioner Janner mentioned, as we presented to the Parks and Rec Committee, we have a lot of in-house resources that are capable of this work. For instance, like electrical and other improvements that we can do with our in-house resources. And we even started some of that in the spring, where we had a $15,000 electrical improvement. We were able to do it for $6,000. So by looking at efficiencies, we're actually able to reduce that $2.4 million budget estimate that was in the feasibility study last year. When we discussed it this summer, we identified that we can actually lower the project by $700,000 to just under $1.7 billion. So with that being said, next steps in the process is to bring on an architectural engineering firm. And in the past, we worked closely with Williams Architects for the Fort Hill Activity Center, as well as the studio expansion with that facility and the Knock Park Central Maintenance Facility. And its staff's recommendation for the drawings and the permitting documents that are needed for this phased project over 3 years to award a contract to Williams Architects based on past performance and delivery of the projects ahead of schedule. One of the questions that may come up that we wanted to address with the commissioners tonight is in negotiations with Williams, how do we know we're getting a fair and reasonable price? We actually went back to 2015 at our Knock Park Central Maintenance Facility, A&E Services with Williams Architects, and based on the total amount of the project cost, it was 8.5%. So we used that in conversations with Williams Architects, and that is the percentage that we plan on presenting to the board for consideration at the January 14, 2021 Park Board meeting. It would be an amount of $138,550 plus reimbursable expenses. So just want to present that to the board tonight for any discussion in preparation of bringing a contract to the board for consideration on January 14th.
Thank you. Our next scheduled meeting be. Oh, Commissioner Megan, yes.
So if I understand you right, we're not talking to any other architects, Eric?
Yes, you are correct. We are not going to talk to any other architects, in the reason being because we went through that process in 2015 through a full RFP process. And in 2015, that was for the Knock Park Central Maintenance Facility. So this is maintenance facility related. Instead of wasting the time at other firms and knowing with, we noticed that the firm's fees have actually gone up. If we can lock in a fee back to 2015, we feel confident as staff we're getting a very fair and reasonable price for this portion of work.
Hey, Dirk, is this one of those goofy contracts where we have to supposedly try and figure out whose architectural degree is the best and we can't talk price?
Yeah, professional service selection.
Yeah, the Local Government Professional Service Selection Act does apply. And the exception to having to do the beauty pageant is if you have a satisfactory relationship with the firm, which we do. And then you're allowed to go negotiate. And in fact, Eric took advantage of a semi loophole. You're not allowed to normally auction services here. But what he did was he used the pressure of having several good firms in our stable to, create a little leverage to knock the price down. And he did that.
Thank you. So with that said, that's another item for the legislative committee. There's another ridiculous law, assuming that all architects are the same, we should be negotiating price. I'm going to throw this into the no bid contract section in my mind, and I'll be voting no. I appreciate the law, Dirk, but there's a certain amount of ridiculousness in Illinois, and all engineers, all architects, you don't want those guys to be grounding on the bridge you're standing on. So assuming that their degrees are worth the weight that they paid for it, and they're doing the job right, we should be negotiating fee in that skill set.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, the next meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners will be January 14th, 2021, 7 p.m. And it'll be held virtually at this point. Next item on the agenda is executive session.
Move to adjourn to executive session to discuss pending litigation under Section 2C11 of the Open Meetings Act.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson, Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
We're going to move you into a breakout room.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I think we had some challenges for a while there with Commissioner Carlson, but apparently he is back on.
Don't worry, Bobby, I voted for you.
Do we have every, okay?
Can anyone hear me?
Bridget, are we all set? You're muted, by the way.
We're up.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the December 10th, 2020 regular meeting. Time is 7:57. Go around and introduce ourselves. Mike Riley,
Mike King?
Rich Janner.
William Beegan III, CPA, CMA.
Josh,
Sorry, Josh McBroom.
Bobby,
Bobby Carlson. Bobby Carlson, anyone? Can you hear?
Ray McGurry.
Sue Stanish, Reed Todd.
Dirk Curtis.
Bridget Tuck,
Omar Sandoval.
okay. Next item on our agenda is adjournment.
Move to adjourn the December 10th, 2020 regular meeting.
Is there a second? Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No one? Thanks all.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.